Good morning. We're meeting today with Lauren Moritz, who is a practicing estate planning attorney with Schomer Law here in the Los Angeles County area. Lauren, what drove you to get into and what gives you satisfaction being in the estate planning field?
So yeah, what drove me to get into it was really, I actually did an externship in the probate court. So I got to see what happens when people fail to plan. I think it was a great experience of just kind of seeing how complicated it gets to, deal with all of these estate planning issues through the court, needing court guidance or court approval for various actions, and seeing how messy it can really get with family members who disagree. Versus many of these issues actually could be dealt with upfront by someone who sets up a good estate plan and has, all of the what they want done. So for instance, who they want to manage their assets, who they want to make their healthcare decisions, all of these things can be dealt with up front without the need for something that's often public, expensive, and time consuming.
Yeah, it must be very expensive to go through the probate avenue to get estates settled.
Yeah, I believe they estimate it costs somewhere around 40% of your accumulated wealth, oftentimes, especially when there's a dispute. It definitely depends on the circumstances, but the fees are significant.
The beneficiaries must be very disappointed at the deceased that they didn't get this taken care of in advance.
Of course. I mean, everyone thinks it doesn't really matter. I'm not dealing with it, or not everybody, but a lot of people think that it doesn't affect me. What do I care if some fees are taken out? But it's not just the fees, it's also, the complication. Most of those people don't know what they're doing and don't think to hire an attorney. They don't know that an attorney can be paid out of the estate.
Yeah.
So oftentimes it's a complicated process that's time consuming, so there's a lot more beyond just even the financial aspect. It's stressful and draining on the beneficiaries.
It's a very emotional experience with people. When people come to you, how many people have had the forethought to make financial plans for their need for a long-term care?
So of course, for my litigation clients, almost none. But with estate planning, we often have people who have a plan in place, but a lot of those people maybe hasn't been updated for many years. They're coming in to try to make those decisions. Oftentimes we also have people who've thought about an estate plan over the years, and they just keep pushing it off. So one of the things I try to remind them is, if something happened today, do you know where your money's going? Do you know who's going to be able to manage your assets? And also, I think one of the most important pieces that most people forget is with a trust. It's not just about death planning. It's not all about distribution of your assets. It's about incapacity planning. If you're not there to make your own decisions, who's in charge and can make those decisions on your behalf? Generally, no one. And so then someone has to go into the court and try to set up a conservatorship on your behalf, which is another costly, time-consuming public court process.
Do you see many people who come to you who have set up their long-term care insurance policies in preparation for those expenses?
Definitely not. That's one of those things I think a lot of people aren't always aware exists. I think it's definitely a beneficial tool, but more people need to be educated about those benefits.
Yeah, well, I got driven into this when 20 years ago, my mom spent more than 3 years in care and burned through $300,000. And as you've expressed, people aren't aware of how expensive that can be, and how with a few pennies on the dollar, the estate can be preserved.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Lauren.
Of course. Thank you for your time.
Okay.